Hi, welcome to day 10 of Getting to Know Yourself. Until now, we've been doing so much material. I feel like we've covered a lot of material and it's been in bits and pieces, but I would love to take today to just review and maybe experience it a little bit, God willing. So we started out by discussing how each person has the potential to bring life to 6 million people. And we said in order to do that, we each have to know who we actually are and look at others as who they actually are in order to have a real relationship with somebody. So how do we know who we really are? So we talked about it and we realized we're actually a soul in a body. And we have a body, and that's the garment that covers our pure soul. But we are identifying as our pure soul. And how do we do that? By changing our way of thinking about ourselves. And so we began by just paying attention to what we identified ourselves with. Did we identify ourselves with our thoughts? Did we identify ourselves with our feelings or our actions? And sometimes we might have a storyline going through our head that we identify with, like, God forbid if somebody had an abusive childhood and always going through their head, well, I've had an abusive childhood, so how can I succeed? How can I succeed? So that's somebody living in their thoughts in the past. If it's true or not true, it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist in the present, and it's not who that person is. That person is a pure soul who had an unpleasant experience growing up, perhaps, and now is the time to move forward out of the storyline and into this moment. So what is this moment? This moment is us identifying with who we really are, which is a pure soul. And why do we want to do that? We said, because that will give us the greatest pleasure ever. Why? How do we know this? Because if you, I quoted, I think, Rav Noach's book, yes, called What the Angel Taught You. And in it, he said, humans are seeking to somehow sense the interconnectedness of all existence, to touch the transcendental. A lot of times we don't realize we're seeking that because we're so busy avoiding that we don't feel it. So we're just running around making ourselves busy so we don't get sad or feel the emptiness of not feeling it. But that's really what we're seeking. We're seeking that connection with Hashem. So then we spoke about how each of us has a light that we shine into this world that's unique to a person. No one person can do another person's job. And even if you look at other people's jobs and they're like, oh, that one's so much more glorious. Wish I had that one. No, there's beauty in every single light. And your job is to begin to identify it with yours and begin to receive it and say thank you for it. Then we spoke about the double rainbow, that picture of the double rainbow, how, all right, so now I identify as a pure soul. What do? I have actions, thoughts, and feelings, and sometimes I use my speech that comes to cover up who I really am, this pure soul. And sometimes it comes to reveal who I really am. So what do I do if I start noticing now, oh, there's that action again, there's that thought again, there's that feeling again. So we said, okay, noticing is the first step. And then what we're going to talk more about what we do, but basically what we discussed is the idea of returning back to your true self. And that's the idea of tshuva. And we're going to, in the future, go further into what we could do when we go further into this, but for right now, that's what we're going to do. So if we do something or say something or feel something or keep thinking something, we're going to take the steps of returning to our true self by turning our mind back to identification with I am a pure soul in a body. Now, Reb Schwartz gave us some ideas of how to begin to become conscious of these actions, these thoughts and feelings, because sometimes if it's so ingrained in us and we're so busy in our lives and we just do things by rote, So how do we take a step back? So he said, okay, maybe for 1 minute a day, focus on one task at a time. Maybe while you're washing the dishes, only wash the dishes. Don't listen to any music. Don't listen to anything. Just be there in that moment with focus and see what happens. See if you start becoming aware of your hands moving in the soapy water, of you taking the cloth or the sponge and wiping down the dish. Start noticing that, and you'll begin to become conscious. Oh, now I see I'm doing an action. Or he says, find a quiet space and just sit with no newspaper. He said, maybe have soft music in the background and just see. Maybe you'll start observing that there are a million thoughts flying through your head. Maybe you'll start noticing you feel so many different emotions, or one deep emotion that you don't find is comfortable. So we're just noticing right now. We're not doing anything. We're just learning how to focus and become conscious of the actions, thoughts, and feelings that make us feel connected, and the actions, thoughts, and feelings that seem to cover us up. So whether they reveal us or cover us up, that's what we're becoming conscious of. And if you see the picture here, I just love this because you see the sun, right? And the girl standing there and all these birds that she's reaching for. So I just imagine, when we identify with the pure soul that we are, so we begin to say, okay, I'm this pure soul, then we have to go one step even further behind that. Who is putting that soul in me as we speak? Who is giving me that life force? So that's Hashem is giving it to us at every breath we take. He is streaming that through us. So if he is streaming that through us, and by the way, if you daven the Amida every day, you'll see part of it says Mechaya HaMesim, that he brings back life to the dead, and there are Perushim that say that this means even in this moment, as we are praying, he is giving me this breath to speak to him. He's giving me back life. So if you look, this is just a parable, but if you look at that sun, imagine, now God is much greater, he's creating the sun, but imagine he's streaming that light, that soul into that girl right there. That's who she is. That's who we are. We're that light. And then we can offer it back to the world, right? And we can do that by choosing the thoughts, the feelings, the actions that we want to send into the world, that we want to react to, or not just react, but consciously act with, think with, and speak with, and feel with. Now, we're human, so we're going to have times that are very dark, unfortunately, but it's what we do in those dark times that make us even greater, and we'll have more on that in the future. Anyway, in the meantime, this was the review. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and that's it. Thank you so much. I hope it was clear.